Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramakrishna. Arise, awake, onward. I only tell you this, that whoever reads this letter will imbibe my spirit. Have faith, onward. Swami Vivekananda. Letters of Swami Vivekananda, letter number 62, continued. It's a very long letter. Now, all the sects in India can be grouped roughly as following the Jnana Marga or the Bhakti Marga. If you will kindly look into the introduction of the Sharirika Bhashya of Sri Shankaracharya, you will find there the Nirapekshata, transcendence of Jnana, is thoroughly discussed, and the conclusion is that realization of Brahman or the attainment of moksha does not depend upon ceremonial, creed, caste, color, or doctrine. It will come to any being who has the 4 sadhanas, which are the most perfect moral culture. As to the bhaktas, even Bengali critics know very well that some of their authorities even declared that caste or nationality or sex, or as to that even the human birth was never necessary to moksha. Bhakti is the one and only thing necessary. Both Jnana and Bhakti are everywhere preached to be unconditioned, and as such there is not one authority who lays down the conditions of caste or creed or nationality in attaining moksha. See the discussion on the Sutra of Vyasa, Antara Chapitu Dattadrishtahe, by Shankara, Ramanuja and Madhva. Antara Chapi tu tad drishtahe. Footnote. But also persons standing between are qualified for knowledge, for that is seen in scripture 3:4:36. A person, even if he does not belong to an ashrama, possessing not the means to entitle him to one or other of the ashrama stages of life, and thus stands between, as it were, is qualified for the knowledge of Brahman. For we meet scriptural passages declaring that persons of such a class possess the knowledge of Brahman. Vide Chandogya Upanishad 4:1, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 3:6 and 8. Go through the Upanishads, and even in the Samhitas, nowhere you will find the limited ideas of moksha which every other religion has. As to toleration, it is everywhere, even in the Samhita of the Adhvaryu Veda, in the 3rd or 4th verse of the 40th chapter. If my memory does not fail, it begins with Na buddhi vedam janayet adnanam karma sanginam. Na buddhi vedam janayet adnanam karma sanginam. Footnote. The wise one should not unsettle the understanding of the ignorant attached to action. The line also occurs in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This is running through everywhere. Was anybody persecuted in India for choosing his Ishtadevata, chosen deity, or becoming an atheist or agnostic even, so long as he obeyed the social regulations? Society may punish anybody by its disapprobation for breaking any of its regulations, but no man, the lowest patita, fallen man, is ever shut out from moksha. You must not mix up the two together. As to that, in Malabar, a Chandala is not allowed to pass through the same street as a high caste man, but let him become a Mohammedan or Christian, he will be immediately allowed to go anyway. And this rule has prevailed in the dominion of a Hindu sovereign for centuries. It may be queer, but it shows the idea of toleration for other religions, even in the most untoward circumstances. The one idea the Hindu religions differ in from every other in the world, the one idea to express which the sages almost exhaust the vocabulary of the Sanskrit language, is that man must realize God even in this life. And the Advaita texts very logically add, to know God is to become God. And here comes as a necessary consequence the broadest and most glorious idea of inspiration, not only as asserted and declared by the rishis of the Vedas, not only by Vidura and Dharma Vyadha and a number of others, but even the other day, Nishchaladasa, a Tyagi of Dadu Panthi sect, boldly declared in his Vichara Sagara, "He who has known Brahman has become Brahman. His words are Vedas, and they will dispel the darkness of ignorance, either expressed in Sanskrit or any popular dialect." Thus, to realize God, the Brahman, as the Dvaitins say, or to become Brahman, as the Advaitins say, is the aim and end of the whole teachings of the Vedas, and every other teaching therein contained represents a stage in the course of our progress thereto. And the great glory of Bhagavan Bhashyakara Shankaracharya is that it was his genius that gave the most wonderful expression to the ideas of Vyasa. As absolute, Brahman alone is true. As relative truth, all the different sects standing upon different manifestations of the same Brahman, either in India or elsewhere, are true. Only some are higher than others. Suppose a man starts straight towards the sun. At every step of his journey, he will see newer and newer visions of the sun. The size, the view, and light will every moment be new until he reaches the real sun. He saw the sun at first like a big ball, and then it began to increase in size. The sun was never small like the ball he saw, nor was it ever like all the succession of suns he saw in his journey. Still, is it not true that our traveler always saw the sun and nothing but the sun? Similarly, all these various sects are true, some nearer, some further off from the real sun, which is our Ekameva Dvitiyam, one without a second. And as the Vedas are the only scriptures which teach this real absolute God, of which all other ideas of God are but minimized and limited visions, as the Sarva Loka Hitaishini. Sarva Loka Hitaishini means the well-wisher to all the world. Shruti takes the devotee gently by the hand and leads him from one stage to another, through all the stages that are necessary for him to travel to reach the Absolute. And as all other religions represent one or other of these stages in an unprogressive and crystallized form, all the other religions of the world are included in the nameless, limitless, eternal Vedic religion. Work hundreds of lives out, search every corner of your mind for ages, and still you will not find one noble religious idea that is not already embedded in that infinite mine of spirituality. As to the so-called Hindu idolatry, first go and learn the forms they are going through. And where is it that the worshippers are really worshipping, whether in the temple, in the image, or in the temple of their own bodies? First know for certain what they are doing, which more than 90% of the revilers are thoroughly ignorant of, and then it will explain itself in the light of the Vedantic philosophy. Still, these karmas are not compulsory. On the other hand, open your Manu and see where it orders every old man to embrace the fourth ashrama, and whether he embraces it or not, he must give up all karma. Footnote. Renunciation as the fourth stage of life after studentship, marriage, and retirement. It is reiterated everywhere that all these karmas, jnane parisamapyate, finally end in jnana. As to the matter of that, a Hindu peasant has more religious education than many gentlemen in other countries. A friend criticized the use of European terms of philosophy and religion in my addresses. I would have been very glad to use Sanskrit terms. It would have been much more easy as being the only perfect vehicle of religious thought. But the friend forgot that I was addressing an audience of Western people. And although a certain Indian missionary declared that the Hindus had forgotten the meaning of the Sanskrit books and that it was the missionaries who unearthed the meaning, I could not find one in that large concourse of missionaries who could understand a line in Sanskrit, and yet some of them read learned papers criticizing the Vedas and all the sacred sources of the Hindu religion. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. To be continued.